Hello, here we are with Seleem, based in Valencia, Spain, where you are in your fourth year of architecture studies. Congratulations, graduating next year. And we are going to do a city walkability rating of your home city, Cairo, Egypt. So I'm really interested to hear what your perceptions are. We talked earlier about issues that you work with in your studies now, architecture, and we're welcoming you to the Global Walkability Correspondence Network at Pedestrian Space as a Cairo correspondent. So I'm really happy.
Thank you.
So let's go right into the city ratings for Cairo. I will let you choose. For anybody listening, we do a score of 1 to 10, right? 1 is the lowest, 10 is the highest. So I will let you choose what you
Sure.
want to do first: walkability, cycling, or public transportation.
Sure. Yeah, I'll start with public transportation. Just because I don't want to be too negative, I'll try to start with a good thing. And for public transportation, we have we've been making some really good progress. We have a new line, which is the third line. It's kind of it's gotten so many awards, so many recognition, and it's becoming this bigger concept that we're focusing on in Cairo, and I think that's great. So I think for for public transportation, I'll give it a 7 or 8. And and of course, there's different problems in different places because Cairo is a big city. But I think for a start, it's a good solid 7.
Okay, what are
Um,
the forms of public transportation in Cairo? What are the different forms?
we have buses and some subway stations in downtown Cairo uh, with metro service, but it's mostly buses and the metro in the center, and then some high-speed rail and monorail that they're still working on. They're still not open yet, but those will be kind of servicing a larger Cairo area. So yeah, it's a good start to making this big network.
Okay, that's interesting. I'll look forward to hearing more about that from you, especially curious about the monorail coming. Okay, what do you want to do next? Walkability or cycle friendliness?
I think I'll end with the walkability. So for cycling, also on a positive note, we have this new bike sharing service in downtown Cairo, which is kind of a good start. Of course, it's easy to kind of sign a deal to get bike sharing, and it's maybe a bit harder to actually make the change or make painted or protected bike lanes. That's kind of a bigger, harder commitment. So we don't have that many around Cairo, many bike lanes, and I'd say it's kind of dangerous uh, to cycle in Cairo for now, at least. But hopefully it'll change. So for cycling, I think I'll give it a 5. Um, Especially because it is a big city, so it's hard to cycle if it's kind of you're going to somewhere specific rather than doing your daily errands and so on.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. All right, and so we're ending on walkability.
yeah. Walkability is kind of even though I think this topic especially, we're at a crossroads in Cairo. Doing this kind of choice between building really big highways, big avenues, bridges, and tunnels, and all that. So we're at kind of a critical point. We see a lot of pedestrian bridges, which are kind of not really inclusive if you think about kind of having this diversity and acceptance in the pedestrian area. So I think in terms of walkability, I'd have to give it a lower score of 3 or 4. Um, and kind of narrow streets and kind of unstable infrastructure is kind of responsible for that, but hopefully it'll change soon too with this kind of mobility revolution that we're having. Yeah.
I think there's a lot to unpack there with what you said, but I think via the network and via your presence and participation as the Cairo correspondent, we'll get to learn a lot more and hear from you, and also find out what's going on with any pedestrian advocacy in Cairo. As you mentioned, a very large metropolitan area, so it'll be really interesting to learn about the landscape of any existing pedestrian advocacy there and ideas for change. As you said, this mobility revolution, it's experienced in different ways in different places, but you are representing Cairo, and you're clearly dialed in. So I'm really grateful to have you joining the network and to hear this.
Thank you.
Perhaps we can cycle back later and learn more about what's going on the ground there. So thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.